Did you rediscover the existence of The Sims 2 with the release of the Legacy Edition? Have you never even played a Sims game before and feel completely overwhelmed, scared, terrified, bloated, constipated, and depressed at the thought of learning how to play this dinosaur of a game? I am here to guide you through your discovery of The Sims 2 for the low fee of $3,942.47. Do not wait. Call now. So, you got The Sims 2 to work on your system. You got it to boot up, and now it's on. What now? This will be an extremely thorough, extremely complete, multiple part guide into what The Sims 2 is. This is obviously not intended for seasoned players or people that have played The Sims 3 and The Sims 4, since you can get the hang of The Sims 2 pretty easily if you've played those. And yet, I know these people will be the main audience of this video because we just love to listen to people talk about The Sims 2 even though we know everything that they're talking about already. First of all, when you're in that screen, what the game is asking you is where you want to play. Choose a neighborhood to play. Very simple. I'm telling you, I am going deep into this. Now, I personally don't have as many pre-made neighborhoods as you will probably have. Don't worry about that. That is totally normal. And I have towns that I have made myself because that's a possibility in The Sims 2. You can make your own neighborhoods thanks to this little button right here, which is the first thing that I'm going to show you. So yes, we want to create a new custom neighborhood. Then you can choose between every terrain that they offer in there. And once you choose the one you want to go with, you can even choose the terrain type. So if you want it to be a desert, just like Strange Town. I've never tried dirt before. Dirt? Okay. Or it could be concrete, which sounds weird, but for example, the world of downtown, where it's like the big center of the city, no matter where you are, downtown is like downtown, you know? The entire thing is concrete, and that makes sense for that. Then you can choose the name for it. It can literally be anything. And you can give it a description or you cannot. I don't feel like it. There you go. If you have a completely unmodded, untouched, pure virginal game, the loading for your new town will take a lot longer than it took on my computer. I have many mods in the game that completely disallow it from creating townies. I don't have any of the stealth hoods that would add a bunch of families here, like the Optimists, like the Larsons, like all of these people. I don't want them in my game. I found a way to remove them, but that is way advanced. I am talking basics here. Also, a very basic fact that you might be confused about if you're literally following step for step right now. Everything about my game, the looks of it, will seem strange because the actual Sims 2 looks like this. It has this blue UI, but you should not concern yourself with that. The next thing I want to show you is making a family. So once you've pressed that button at the bottom, it opens this room, which is called Create a Family in The Sims 2, but that we call CAS for Create a Sim. Most people do, at least. So the next thing you want to do is give your family a family name. Unfortunately, in The Sims 2, each Sim cannot have a different family name if they're all made in the same family. They all need to share a family name. So I'm calling this family Sharing is Caring. Then what you will do is come and press on this button here that says Create a Sim. Then it will give you the option to create a Sim, create a dog, or create a cat. But obviously, we're trying to create a Sim. Now this man right here, he'll do very well, but I still want to go through every category so that we can see together. We need to give him a first name. I'm going to call him Men. First of all, you have this randomize button, which literally randomizes everything about the sim, and then you can come back with undo here if you liked something better. Like I'm gonna come back to my dude. You also have the choose existing sim feature. I have all the sims that I've made and like saved to my game here. You won't have that. They all have a little star because they're like custom. But the sims you will have are these. So the game comes shipped with a lot of pre-made sims. Think of them a little bit like the sims you get when you try to make a family in The Sims 4. They're always the same set of sims that you start off from. Same thing for The Sims 3. The Sims 3 has a very similar system. We could even pick a guy from this category. I don't mind. We can pick him. He's a man now. Then you have the section for gender, female, male. You can turn any sim into either, no matter how much you tweaked with it. Then we have all the life stages. You start as a toddler, child, teen, adult, elder. obviously. Unfortunately, if you make a family of 2 teens and try to play with them, it will not work. You need at least 1 adult in a household that you create a family at all times. Otherwise, the game will not allow it. Well, an adult or an elder. Then you have the skin colors, the skin tones. This is a big thing about The Sims 2. That's like one of the main issues to me is the selection of skin tones. You have very light, medium, dark. I have darker, but I had to download darker. So yeah, I have a bigger selection of shades, and also like some have moles on them, some have freckles in the face. But once again, that is something you download, and the game, even with all the expansion, comes with 4 skin tones. And then you have the body type, which they call fatness on men. Fatness. I will use this word because that's what The Sims 2 calls it. I'm not the type of person to demonize the word fat, so I will use it. But fatness, in my opinion, is more noticeable on men because they have more of a belly, they have thicker legs, thicker arms. When I was a child, I used to play with my sister and her friends who were all older than me, and one of her friends was trying to make herself in The Sims 2, and when she clicked on the fatness, she's like, oh, it just gave me bigger tits. I'm gonna pick that. Like, the difference, there's a little bit of a tummy, but honestly, if you saw a woman looking like that outside and you called her fat, I think you'd get curb stomped. I don't know, but it was the early 2000s, you know? And to believe Ozempic wasn't even out yet. But yeah, like if I switch between men and women, you really notice the difference, especially in the belly, like how much bigger it is on men. Those are the body types in The Sims 2. Once again, if you want more different body types, like more of a bodybuilder look or more of an actually fat look, you will need to download mods. And it's a little bit more complicated when it comes to that, because then you need to download specific clothing that will fit with those custom body shapes, which then makes the selection of outfits a lot smaller than if you chose one of the 2 types of body types that came with the game. Alright, now let's go step 2, heads. I never use this because usually I go straight up to 3 to actually like morph and change the face how I want it. I don't really use pre-made faces or pre-made heads, but the option is there if you want. Like if you pick the guy, you like everything about him except his face, I guess, you can change it for another guy's face. I'm not gonna say a good or a bad option, it's just an option that's out there. Step 3, hair and face. Obviously, I have a lot of custom content hair. I'm gonna go to the actual game stuff, which like this is an actual game thing. So, you know, you can get a little bit wacky out here. So the game has 4 hair colors if you don't count the colorful section, which is just like recolors of existing haircuts with a manic panic twist to them. You can set hair per outfit. So for example, you could wear it like that in everyday, but in formal, you could wear a totally different color and it doesn't change the everyday. So that's very nice. Every time he changes outfit, he changes hair color. Then after hairstyle and color, you have full face. Full face is where you get the templates. So it's a little bit like heads actually. If I pick this one, I change only the face and I didn't change the whole head with the hair and everything. I just changed the face, the ears. And I will teach you a little trick that sometimes even very seasoned Sims 2 players don't know about. If you right click on a face, it will modify the face you have already just a tiny little bit every time you do it to reach kind of a middle ground between the face you started with and the face of the template that you're right clicking on. So just like I'm doing right now, if I click enough, I'm gonna end up with just straight up the face. And then I can go back with undo to the face I started with and just tweak it with another face. You can mix and match also. I can do one of this one, 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 and you end up with a dude that looks fresh as fuck. In the face category, you also have these sliders. So these are sliders that are more for the overall head. I have this one that is custom. It's just to get elf ears because why not? But then you have the one to make the cheeks fuller or to make the cheeks more gaunt. You can also just use a little pill shaped thing at the bottom. Then you have the actual cheek, so like this part here, you can make it be more sucked in or make it be more like jowly, I don't know. Then the jaw, so the width of the jaw at the bottom there, you can make it much wider. You can have a Chad. The face height, be careful while messing with this, because if your Sims all have different face heights, when you have them breed together, it will create disproportions between where their eyes, noses, and mouths are set, because they all have different heights to these elements. So I'm very careful with this. I only use this when I notice that a face looks particularly low, or the opposite when I feel like it's really high up there. They almost don't have a forehead. Pro tip, Sims 2 Sims have really big foreheads. You have to learn to live with that. Then you have under the neck, and last but not least, the ears. You can have real garage doors or itty bitty tiny. That is forehead, which is the same thing. Most of the sliders are about brows. You can make like preset brows thicker, so you don't pick a brow that's already thick. You thicken the existing brow, you know what I mean? Then that's my recommendation. If you want the face to look higher up, it is to raise things that you can raise like separately. So you can raise the brows up, but maybe leave the eyes level, and you can arch the brows rounder. You can make them really, really flat and stiff and even look a bit sad, worried, angry, or more like Spock. You can do whatever you want. Put the tail down, put the tail up. This is an assertive look. And then just like the depth of the forehead. And with these individual presets, you can also blend those into your existing brows. So if I right click on that, I can also like get it closer to that thing. But I can also just straight up say, I want these brows immediately, which I wouldn't recommend because look weird on him. And now eyes. So for eye color, we have 5 of them. I also always have the vampire eyes available in my eye colors. You will not have that, although the vampire eyes will be in your game, but on vampires. This is something that even as a child I never really understood, why we have 2 different shades of blue, but no like very dark brown, almost black. I know a lot more people that have almost black eyes than people who have eyes this blue. I digress. Here are the sliders for eyes, so you can make them bigger or just wider. You can put the outer edge up or down. You can just tilt them. Oh my god, the eyes get bigger when I tilt this way. Why? You can make them closer together, further apart. I'm a big fan of further apart. If you've seen any of my Sims and you feel like they look kind of like aliens looking in 2 different directions, that's because I really love putting them eyes far apart, girl. Then you have the depth of the eyes, and oftentimes I found that this is the secret to getting your Sim from looking kind of weird and off to, oh, okay, I get it, that was the issue. Like, look at this. If you put him on the side like this and you saw that, you maybe wouldn't immediately clock that the issue is that the eyes were pushed too far forward, but when you fix it, you're like, oh, that was the issue all along. So that's the slider I really recommend checking out if you feel like your Sim looks weird and you don't know what's wrong. Maybe you also just don't like the art style of the Sims 2. That's a possibility also. Then you can also put the eyes up or down independently from the eyebrows, or you can do them together. Now for the nose, same thing, sliders, bigger, smaller, narrower, wider. Narrower, wider, but only for the nostrils. Whoa, longer, shorter. This is fun to have like separately from big or small. Higher, lower, more like a button nose or more rounded out. And just put the nostrils higher or lower. The bridge of the nose stays the same. It's just the nostrils that move. I find it really fun that we have both of these options separate from one another. Then for the mouth, of course, we have the presets and we can make it more narrow, more wide. We can put it up, put it down. We can put the corners up or down. We can make the mouth less thick, more thick. We can change the shape of the lips, which is also one of my favorite things to do. I really like this kind of more pointy mouth, more like character in it. This is very Tammy Brown. And last but not least, the chin. The chin also has a lot of like jaw related sliders. So if the sliders you could find in the full face category did not exactly meet your expectations or did not fix what you wanted to fix, these sliders might be in the chin category. So you have like a defining jaw slider, so you can have the jaw more square without making it wider or without making the cheeks bigger. And you can also have like the jaw get really up in the ears there and almost disappear. Where's the jaw? I can't see it. And then you have like, they call it jaw width, but it's more like the shape of the jaw. So like a very V-shaped downwards jaw that gives you a heart-shaped face, or a more square jaw that once again makes you look like a Chad. So this is it for faces. Once again, whenever you have presets like this, you can blend them with what you already have if you right click on them. Then step 4, makeup, facial hair, and glasses. They don't mention jewelry, which is also in that category. They don't mention eyebrows, which I guess they consider to be facial hair, but I would put a separate word, like there's eyebrows in this. Eyebrows in this, hello. I picked him my custom content eyebrow because I can't do it. I can't. Then for some reason, the only beard option I have is this, and I think it's because I put him in a custom like colorful hair. If I set his hair to black, oh yeah, all of a sudden I have all the options. So you could put just another beard on him, darker. What he had was actually a stubble. You could put a full-on beard on him, whatever this is, but I'll give him this. And then of course, if you want to put jewelry on your sim, the more power to you. You can do it. I almost never do it. You can do it. You can't see it very well on them, I've noticed. There's some piercings if you want them. To have more selection when it comes to piercings, I downloaded a lot of them in the glasses category to have like more choice, more color. These are all blue, but like I have all the colors of all the styles in there. Like these are green. You see what I mean? But we're not talking about custom content, but I needed to say that. Then step 5 is clothing. For clothing, only in the everyday category do you have separate top, bottom, and then full outfit. What he has on currently is a full outfit. You could put him in a shirt, pants. We're showing midriff, or you could put him in a full outfit, not from the 1800s. Thank you. Unfortunately, yes, with The Sims 2, you cannot choose the shoes. The shoes come with the outfit, but I did like what he had on, so I'm just gonna go and pick that back. There's also a lot of more cultural clothing in The Sims 2, and they're not like hidden in formal categories, shit like that. You can wear a kilt every day. And you have even more option when you open the debug mode. Although in the debug mode, most of the outfits are linked to like specific careers and things like that. But nonetheless, there's a little bit more choice in the debug mode. That's advanced though. That's gonna be in the advanced video. You can even be Santa. How great is that? And then, as I said, from the formal category, unfortunately, the game only has full outfits. So if you wanted to do like a dress shirt and another type of pants, you can't, unfortunately. I know I'm saying that word a lot. I'm hearing myself. I'm going to try to stop. Pull it back. Let's put him in this one. Then for underwear, same thing. One piece, one outfit. PJs, same thing. You also don't get a huge selection of PJs. Bathing suit and the athletic outfit. If you've played The Sims 4 but never The Sims 2, no, there's no party outfit in The Sims 2, and no, technically you cannot have multiple outfits at once. Like if I click on a dresser, I'm not gonna be able to change into everyday 1, everyday 2, everyday 3, but if I own the clothes in my home, I can open my dresser, change my outfit, and put something else on, which will change my everyday outfit. My one and only everyday outfit will be changed to what I chose. And I can do that every day if I want, but I have to change it manually. I cannot like save multiple everyday outfits or formals or whatever. And then once we're done with all that, what's left is step 6, personality and aspiration. Aspirations. What are they? What do they do? I'm glad you asked. I'm gonna go from left to right. Let's just make it simple. First of all, you have the pleasure aspiration. An aspiration is what your sim aspires to do. If you pick the pleasure aspiration, your sim will want to go out, go on dates, go on outings, play bowling, play cards, take a bubble bath, put on PJs. I mean, the wants, they're not the best with the pleasure aspiration, but you're a beginner, so maybe that could be good for you, you know? You know how people talk about how the Sims 4 aspirations that come with packs are more like a tutorial for the pack than they are in aspiration. The pleasure aspiration was the first one to do that, in my opinion. It's like a nightlife tutorial. It's not bad, it's not my least favorite aspiration, but it's definitely not the best in my opinion. Then we have family. Pretty simply put, Sims with the family aspiration will want to have a family, grow their family, get married, teach their kids their skills, teach their kids to do their homework. They will want to have as many children as they can carry. They will want to have as many grandchildren as their children can carry. It gets a little bit weird sometimes. They will want their entire family to get married, even if maybe they don't want to. They don't care. So of course, if you pick this aspiration or if you randomize this aspiration, get ready for a life of babies. I love this aspiration. I don't love the lifetime wants that come with it, but we'll talk about lifetime wants later, even probably in the second part. Then we have the romance aspiration, which may sound to you like, oh my god, like finding your soulmate, love of your life, wow, so cute, so like wholesome. No, that's not what that means at all. The romance aspiration is for those who like to have multiple partners at once, have sex every day, have sex everywhere with anyone. I think the best word to describe the romance aspiration is sleazy. They don't necessarily want to cheat. They just want a higher body count. It's like, it's better that they don't settle down, but then spending your entire life never settling down, even for like a day, a week, a month, it can get pretty like, okay, so all I do is work, eat, fuck, what? The gameplay can get very repetitive. I personally don't mind it. I'm playing this game since it came out and I still enjoy playing the sleazy romance sim. Maybe you will get bored of that pretty quickly. A lot of people play the romance aspiration in two different ways in their game. Depending on the personality of their sim, they can take it to mean what I said first, like, oh, they want to find their ultimate soulmate. What they're looking for in life is the greatest love. And they also have the sleazy sims, but they put them in two different categories depending on their personality, which I think is interesting. I don't personally do it in my game, but if that's maybe the way you want to play it to make it more fun, then that could be something you do. Then we have the knowledge aspiration, which is the most fascinating to me because like, it's not even just I want to know things, I want to learn, I want to be cultured, I want to go to university, I want to get good grades. It's not even really that. I mean, a part of it is that, but another even bigger part of it is everything supernatural. So they'll want to see a ghost. They'll want to be saved from death. They'll want to get abducted by aliens. They'll want to have babies with aliens. So a sim with the knowledge aspiration will not always be very sane. They can want to become werewolves. They can want to become vampires, plant sims. They have more of an affinity towards that, the supernatural. They want to become them and they want to befriend those that are already occults. To me personally, the knowledge aspiration is the GOAT. It is the best aspiration because it's the funniest. It can get repetitive to play also when your sim gets stuck in a loop of just, I want to get to level 7 of logic now. Oh, I got that. Okay, now I want to get to level 8 of logic, please. Oh, I got that. Okay, now I want to get to level 9. And when your entire wants panel is just get to this level of this skill, get to this level of this skill, get to this level of this skill, see a wolf. It's like, okay, I wanted you to have like, I don't know, friends and a family, Tiffany. Do you want to do anything else? Like, please give me something. But I digress. Wants and fears are for later. The fortune aspiration, I feel, is very different from sim to sim. You will get the sim that feels very shady. They will get the one to marry a rich sim and keep buying expensive stuff over and over. No really ambition, just like I want money and I want stuff. I'm not telling you how though, I just want it. And then you'll have the fortune sims that are like, well, I must be a doctor. I must be a lawyer. I need this skill level, this many friends. Come on, chop. So there's two types of fortune sims. So yeah, fortune sims will want to be overachievers when they're teenagers, so get to the top level of their career and get an A+ in school. They want to reach the top of their careers. They want to marry a rich sim. They want to make a lot of money, earn a lot of money, and yeah, buy stuff. There's also, they don't show it there, but a lot of it is buying stuff. So I mean, prepare yourself for that. And last but very much least, is the popularity aspiration. The popularity aspiration is my least favorite simply because there's no, to me at least, I don't feel like there's a through line. I will have popularity sims that only roll hobby once, never wanting to get to make friends with anyone, even though they meet a lot of people all the time. They'll never roll the one to make a friend, have a party, anything. No, they just roll hobby once. They'll roll once about gaining a skill once in a while or joining a random career once in a while, but very rarely will they roll once to make friends. But then I have other types of popularity sims that will have 2 friends and roll the one to have 30 best friends, and I'm wondering where you got that. But okay, I mean, if that's what you want to strive for in your life, let's go for it, but you're gonna have to work, you know. So yeah, usually a popularity sim should want to throw parties and have great parties, make friends and best friends, sell a masterpiece for some reason. I don't see why that would be in that category, but okay. Win fights, very important, and reach the top of some careers that are associated with it. The fighting thing, I do love this type of popularity sim that's actually an anti-popularity sim, like Lilith Pleasant, for example. When popularity sims are very grouchy, what they will strive for instead is to make enemies and win fights. I love that type of sim though. That type of popularity sim I can get behind. So what do aspirations do? Aspirations influence the wants your sims will get, and also the way that they will want to live their lives. And now we go into personality. How does personality work into that? The way I look at it, you don't have to do it this way, but if I have a sim that I make extremely shy and then I choose the popularity aspiration, something is off for me. It's not illegal, like nobody will come and arrest you. I like to look at my personalities and decide the aspiration I'm going to give my sim based on the vibes. You do whatever you want. You can choose a zodiac sign, which will give you preset amounts of personality points in every category. For example, if you choose Capricorn, your sim will be more neat than sloppy at a 7 out of 10. Your sim will be slightly more shy than outgoing at a 4 out of 10. Your sim will be quite lazy rather than active at a 1 out of 10. More playful at an 8 out of 10 compared to serious, and pretty much in the middle between grouchy and nice. But for example, if I remove the 1 point in lazy and put it in outgoing, the game still considers me a Capricorn. It is not set in stone, and the game will decide the aspiration that you get when your sim is born based on the points that it randomly gave. There's a lot of tweaking that you can do and still keep that same zodiac sign if that's what's important to you. What I like to do with this is get a number generator and ask it 1 through 10 so that I can make this really random. But I also like to close my eyes and just do this. Wow. And now I have leftover points, or just like, I'm a Taurus. I'm neat, I'm playful, not that outgoing, a little lazy, a little grouchy. When I look at all this, what does that make me think of? What does that inspire me? If you don't want to do it random at all, if you want to do it the way the game would do it, a Taurus would be a romance sim. With this level of outgoing, I'm not sure, but the playful is nice for romance. But yeah, like typically knowledge sims are more serious, popularity sims are more outgoing, obviously. Romance sims also, they're more outgoing, they're also more playful. Family sims are nice, they're neat, and pleasure sims are playful. They're sometimes active and sometimes not at all. So yeah, with this personality, honestly, I think I would go for pleasure. And then there's the second little tab up here, the turn-ons and turn-offs. So that means simply the types of sims that this man will like. I have some likes and dislikes that are modded, but they are similar enough that you will get the gist. You can like facial hair, makeup, glasses. You can like rich sims, poor sims, vampires, plant sims, werewolves, specific hair colors for some reason. Employed or unemployed, the hard worker one is really like 6 levels plus, so very high in their careers. Goes well with rich. I hate when they don't have a job. You better have a job. So this is man sharing is caring. At this point, if you want to be done, if you want to have just a single sim, that's perfect. You click accept sim, and there he is. If you wanted to make more sims after that, you would have to go back into create a sim, and I'll just make a female sim to show you. She's in a towel, that's perfect. And I'll just give her random stuff so I can accept her. I didn't give her a name, woman. And there is this option that's only available when you have an adult or elder man and an adult female in a family make a child. This just randomizes a child for a given couple. You can set it even as an adult or an elder. The thing though is you will not be able to set these two Sims as her parents in the family tree if you do that. So I'll make her a child and you just like randomize, and that's going to be her name, her. She got a personality by mixing the personalities of her parents, but also a little bit of randomization. And then you have the family relationship little thing here that's like the family tree. And it's at this step that you can go say, this is her sister, this is her wife, or this is just roommate. And then you pick the child you bringing up to either of the parents, doesn't matter, because now they're linked together as a married couple. And you can do child or roommate, and if you do child, she's going to be the child of both of them. But for what we need to do today, we don't need these two Sims, so we'll just accept man sharing is caring. All right, now you have your family in the bottom here in the family bin. If you want to move them in somewhere, if you have a neighborhood that you made yourself, you can either place a blank lot and build a house yourself. What is fun with The Sims 2 is that you can literally put the lots anywhere and it doesn't matter how big, or you can even go into the lots and houses bin. All of this is happening in that little lots and houses tab here, and like find a pre-made house, for example this thing, put it down, and then you can just move in your Sim if it wasn't too expensive, because currently it's too expensive. But if it was okay for him to move in, if it was under $20,000 or simoleons, then you would be able to purchase it and move into it. So that was all for the first step, creating a town and creating a family. I hope you feel enlightened. And if you know the game by heart, I hope you liked hearing stuff that you already knew for way too long. Now that we've done all this, if you were curious about loading into a pre-made neighborhood, I'm going to show you some of that. My Veronaville is pretty much untouched, so I will load into that. In your game, the first time you'll open it, you will have some neighborhoods already with like moving images that were made by the game. You can play in those, you can play the families that come with this. I say this may sound very obvious to you, like obviously I can play with those, why wouldn't I be able to? But I need to make it very obvious because I'm on the spectrum, and let's say that for very, very long years, more than I am willing to say, I felt in my heart of hearts that it was illegal. That's the best word I can use, illegal, to play with pre-made families. The first time I was exposed to playing with the pre-made hoods and actually playing the pre-made families and not just like making your own and moving that Sim in that hood was, I think I was 20. That sounds insane, but it's true. I'm pretty sure I was around 20, and my first reaction was, why the hell would you make the Smiths have another baby? And then at that point, it just kind of percolated in my mind, and I went from thinking like, who would do that? That's an insane thing to do. That's literally illegal to play with pre-made families, to, isn't that what the fuck they're there for? And I've been playing that game since it came out in 2004, and I've never dared, for no reason at all except that my brain told me it was illegal. What, like Will Wright was gonna come knock at my door and take my copy of the game away? That's insane. That's insane behavior. I can't believe my mom thought I was neurotypical for so long. This is something else you can do if you don't want to make your own family, or if you want to make your own family but don't want to make your own hood. You can play in one of the pre-made hoods and just load into one of the families that are already there. In the case of Veronaville, you will get some families at the bottom there that you can place anywhere you want, as long as they can afford it, obviously. And these hoods, the one thing that's very interesting about these hoods is they have stories between the families. The people already know each other. The people will have friends, will have enemies. They'll have memories explaining what happened before you started playing. So it can be quite interesting and also refreshing to play in pre-made hoods with pre-made families if you're used to playing with your own Sims in your own hoods, with Sims that just ship with the basic memories and you have to start from scratch every single time. It can be fun to play with a pre-made hood for this reason. And Veronaville in particular is very rich with those interconnections between families, those histories between families, because this is based on Romeo and Juliet. There's a huge feud happening happening between the Caps and the Montes. Everybody hates each other, and Romeo and Juliet fell in love through all this. So it's like causing issues with the families, and in the middle of that there's a bunch of fairies. So it's, I mean, that's what you get when you play The Sims 2. And what I wanted to show you in a pre-made hood was those stories, first of all. So you first get glimpse of the stories with the family descriptions. So if a house is occupied, it'll have this plumb bob turning above it, and you'll also see the name of the family when you hover over it. And then if you click it, you will see every member of the family portrait, and you will have the family description. So for example, this says, Juliet Cap has fallen for Romeo, golden child of the rival Monty clan. Can the Caps set aside their grudge and put Juliet's happiness first? The answer is no. So we know there's a feud between the Caps and the Montes. We know Romeo and Juliet is a thing. And then if you go over to the Monty side, the Monty ranch, the description says, Patricio Monty never forgot consort Cap's broken promise, but now his grandson Romeo has fallen for the Cap Harris. Will the elders live to see the two families united? So now we know there was actually something consort did that broke like a friendship between Patricio and consort, and then blew up into this whole feud, which you get only by reading these descriptions. It's not fan fiction, it's lore in the game. So that's nice to have, because we don't always get that nowadays. And in the middle of all that, you have the Summer Dream family, whose description reads as such. The Summer Dreams, kindly nature, and zest for life have cast a romantic spell over Veronaville's youth, but will there be any magic left for Puck? So then with this, you understand that Romeo and Juliet's love might not even be that like genuine. It might all be because of that spell that they're mentioning. And in the other household, Mercutio also has Hermia, Juliet's sister, as a crush. Miranda, the daughter of Goneril and Albany, also has a crush on Mercutio that's not reciprocated. So you have a lot of intertwined stories and like relationships that are not reciprocated, things like that, to continue building that story of like a love spell set on the youth, which is very cool. Hermia is also like into a little bit of a something with Puck, so she has two avenues she can go down. I do feel weird making Juliet be with Romeo and Hermia with Mercutio, because it feels like too many members of those two same families together, which just is a recipe for disaster in The Sims 2 if you don't want everyone to end up related. But in Veronaville, that's pretty much inevitable that everyone will end up a little bit related, because there's only 3 families. These Caps here, they're still Caps, so they're in the same family as those. And if you look here in the description, these are Caps and these two are Montes. Everybody's related. So this is a hood that you kind of have to play with Sims that you made on your own, or townies that will populate your towns. Otherwise it will be pretty hard to do multiple generations, let's say. This is also the save where I married Goneril. Let's not talk about that. Now let's load into a pre-made family to see what it's all about. Oh, right, I moved him in with Jeff Bezos and he died. So the Cap teens live alone now. In your game, if you have a fresh, clean Veronaville that's never been played in, they will not be alone. Their grandpa will be there, but for now, that's fine. Because what I wanted to show you was the family tree. So if you open your sim menu like this, because it might very well be just closed off like this, you have to click on the relationship icon here and it will open up this menu. And then at the bottom here, there's this little icon that we saw that's the same in Creative Family, and then you click on it. So you have your sim, their siblings, and their ancestors. Veronaville is an especially good hood to show this because the ancestors go up many generations, and there are sims you will never see. There are sims you will never play unless you resurrect them, which I'm not going to explain how to resurrect sim in episode 1 of this deep dive, but there are sims that are there purely for storytelling and just to create like a more thorough feeling to your sims, the lives that they've lived before you took control of their lives, to make them feel like real actualized people. You can see Consort is the grandpa that's supposed to live with them. If you look at him, you will see that he had 4 children with his wife. His daughter Cordelia is dead. His daughter Goneril is alive and married to me. And then you have Regan and Kent, who you can see have no children of their own. Cordelia had 3 children, which are the kids that we have here today with us. Goneril have 4, so they live with her. And that's how you can keep track of who's related to who. If you like to to play maybe legacies, things like that. That is how you will see everyone. And the nice thing about The Sims 2 is that the Sims don't disappear out of the family trees like they do in The Sims 4. But yeah, this tab, the relationship tab, is also where you will get a lot of the story, because this is where you will see who this Sim is friends with, who they're enemies with, who they don't really care about. In the case of Tybalt, we don't care about anyone, really, but we hate Romeo, and that's an important part of this. We also hate Mercutio, but do we really? I'm planting a seed in all of your minds. And now the next thing I wanted to talk about is the wants and fears and the aspiration benefits. So the wants and fears is what is in the middle right here. So for example, Juliet is a family aspiration sim, but she's only a teenager. So she will not get wants to have babies and get married yet because she's still so young. The types of wants that she'll get is to go steady, to have a new family member, gain a skill point, and in her case go to college because she's a teenager. Teenagers of all aspirations will periodically roll the one to go to college, at least most of the time. If you go to Hermia, for example, she's also a family sim. She also wants to go steady, but specifically with Puck, she wants to get a job and she wants to talk. She just wants to talk to someone. And then you'll have Tybalt, who is a popularity sim. He wants to throw a party, he wants to meet someone new, invite someone over, and go to university. These are very typical popularity ones, which is cool to see because I rarely see that for some reason. So basically what that means is if I do this, if I have him pick up the phone and throw a party, he will get 2,000 aspiration points. That's why it says aspiration value plus 2,000. If you click on the want, it also tells you how to fulfill that want. So in this case, parties are a quick way to fill a house with lots of Sims. To throw a party, click on the phone and then choose any of the interactions under the throw party options. So that's good because then you know that if you click on the phone, choose throw party, no matter what type you choose, it'll fulfill the want. Sometimes wants can get a little bit trickier than that. They're very specific, but this one is more loose. You can do any type of party you want. And that will be the case for every want. They will explain to you how to get that want done, and they all have different aspiration values. So for example, what you can do is lock a want in place that gives you a lot of aspiration value. For example, go to college gives you plus 10,000. I'm going to talk about the influence thing later, so for now I'm just talking about the aspiration value. If you want to keep that in place so it doesn't move because you really want to get that 10,000 but you don't want to get it now, you can lock it by pressing right click. So now it has this little lock in the corner, which means that when Tybalt's wants will re-roll, that want will stay put. The wants re-roll pretty often, especially when they wake up in the morning or when they come back from work is when it will re-roll. Then we have fears. Fears are things that your sim really doesn't want to happen. And what happens when they come true is that you lose aspiration value. So for example, Tybalt really doesn't want to be enemies with Hal, his cousin. If that happens, he's going to lose 3,500 aspiration points. The fear will still explain to you how to get there in an effort probably to make it so you don't have that happen. But some people like to torture their Sims and make their fears come true, which I also do sometimes because I think it's funny, but whatever. She doesn't want Romeo to die. What if I kill him right now? My Sims very rarely have fears that have any chance of coming true. For example, like she's scared that this random girl will become a zombie. Why would that even cross my mind to make that girl a zombie if that wasn't the plan? Like, don't stress out about that. That's not happening, but okay. And then again, you'll have Sims that just had a baby, constantly roll the fear of changing a diaper, and then when they do, they lose points over and over. In that type of situation, I don't mind having them lose the points because they're the stupid ones that have stupid fears. It's not my fault, so don't beat yourself up over that. I will go deeper into what aspiration points do later, and also about this meter right here. I will go more into detail about that another time. So if you want to hear more about that, if you're a little bit confused about that still, tune in for next time. Now, a thing I wanted to mention though was the lifetime aspiration benefits, which you can find in the aspiration reward little category out of the rewards here, the chest that you have. If you click on there, you will be able to select a secondary which means technically your sim will have two aspirations at once. Still, the main aspiration will be the star of the show, but for example, if I choose something very stupid like grilled cheese for Juliet and click yes, accept, the next time she rolls her wants, some wants related to grilled cheese will also appear in there. Then you can unlock lifetime aspiration benefits. Either have to do with that secondary aspiration you just picked or not at all. You could pick slower need decay for social and comfort, for bladder and hygiene, fun and hunger, or energy. You could pick benefits for work, which you can read all of those to know exactly what they do, and you could pick benefits regarding their main aspiration, which for her is family. And you can also read everything that they do to make an informed decision. It works kind of like the occult skill trees in The Sims 4. So if you want to unlock the super fertility to have more twins, you need to start with Grandma's Comfort Soup and work your way up. You can't just go and pick super fertility right now. The game will not let you. So this is aspiration benefits. I think it's important to show it early on because the need one, the slower need decay, I think would be a great asset for a starting player that has a bit of trouble keeping their Sims wants filled. Now I want to take a little stroll in the Simology page. We've seen the personality earlier in the Create a Sim section. Juliet's personality, we cannot change it anymore because she exists. She's here. This is also where you will see her personal biography. Only pre-made Sims in pre-made hoods will have those. If you want your Sims that you made yourself to have those, you will have to write them yourself. But for example, Juliet's bio says Juliet loves her family and wants to please them, but her feelings for Romeo are undeniable. Can she make her family proud and make herself happy as well? So it's just like a little bit more lore, a little bit more explaining into what's happening in this hood. This is also where you will find her interests. Interests don't play a huge part in the game. Some people include interests more into their decisions for their Sims. Example, since Juliet has almost no interest in health, if she rolled a 1 to join the medical career, I could be like, that doesn't make sense for you, so I'm not gonna do that. But I could also say, who cares? It's really you decide to care or not. The interests matter when it comes to conversations between two Sims, which is something I'm gonna talk a lot about in the second episode. I have a whole section on socialization, so that's going to be spoken about more in the second episode. But yes, your Sims' interests will change as they age, as they evolve, as they speak to other Sims, as they learn more things. So for now, this is the state of Juliet's interests, but that might change when she ages up into an adult. That might change if she went to college. That might change if she made friends with very different interests. A lot of things can influence that, but as I said, the only real influence this has is on conversations. If your Sims are talking, for example, Romeo initiates a conversation about sci-fi, she will not care for it at all, and the conversation will end into a negative relationship gain, so a loss. There's a way to circumvent that, which I will also talk about in the second episode. Then we have the little tab for hobby enthusiasm. Currently, she has none of it because she's a pre-made Sim that existed before the free time expansion, so she did not ship the game with hobby enthusiasm in anything. What this is basically is what your Sim likes to do as a hobby. So do they like to cook? Do they like to watch cooking shows? If so, they might gain cuisine enthusiasm. It might also be their one true hobby. What one true hobby means is the first time your Sim will do an action that is related to a certain hobby that the game decided to be their one true hobby, you will get a pop-up in a little music telling you, I love doing this so much. If I could keep doing this forever, I would be so grateful to you. For example, with cuisine, it could be as simple as making a meal. Film and literature could be as simple as watching a movie on the TV. Games, I mean, do I need to explain? Tinkering is a little bit more complicated. It would be like repairing something. If I click on this, I can choose tinker, so it could be this. Or if I buy the fixer-upper car, it could be working on that car to get it back into shape. Science has more to do with telescopes and stuff like that. Arts and crafts could be painting, pottery, sewing, nature, bird watching, going on a hike, planting things. It's important to separate sports from fitness. Sports is really like soccer, basketball, also watching sports on TV, and fitness is more like staying fit, lifting weights, running on the treadmill, doing yoga, things like that. And music and dance is, well, listening to music, dancing. So the more you do any of these activities, the more you will gain enthusiasm in those hobbies, and that is where this is compiled. And you will also see the one true hobby of your sim highlighted in bright blue. This is how you know that that's their one true hobby that you might want to spend a little more time working on if you care at all about that. I don't very much. And you will have memories. The memories is also a big thing that tells you about the story of the sims you're dealing with. If you look at the memories of a sim you just made and create a sim, they will all have the same set of memories about doing stuff with a mystery sim and like moving in. So it's not extremely interesting, but with pre-made sims you get a real story. You get every person they ever met, who taught them their toddler skills, if they aged up well or not, when people died, like in Juliet's case her parents, which happened right after she had her first kiss with Romeo, which I didn't know that, I didn't remember that. That's concerning. So yeah, it tells a story in itself. You really need to put all the pieces together to get the whole painting. I can spend so long going through my sims memories, just like reminiscing about their whole lives, especially if they're a sim that was born in game and I directed everything that happened to them. I love just going back and checking that out. So yeah, I think that will be it for the first installment of this new little thing I'm doing. So I would consider us done with the well, the game is on, what now category, and on the next little episode we will cover all that you need to know if you want to put the game on play. So see you for next episode. As always, guys, I love you and I care about you. Please follow me on all of my social medias. They will be linked down below, as well as my Ko-fi if that is something that could interest you, and my Twitch channel. I stream sometimes, not lately, but sometimes. Sleep tight, don't let the Bud Light bite. Tschüss.